minutes or so. I'm just checking in to make sure that the sites are joining us as well. Carruthersville, are you there? Carruthersville?
Here. We're here. Some of them running a little late, but we're here.
Well, that's quite all right, Miss Cagle.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Sykeston, are you there?
We're here.
Thank you, Sykeston. St. Louis.
St. Louis is here.
Thank you, Mr. George Little. Kansas City.
Good morning to you all.
Good morning to you all. Kansas City. Kansas City, are you there? Obviously not. One more time, Kansas City. At this time, we have a short delay. As I indicated earlier, it should be about 10 minutes, and I will definitely notify you when we will start the program on time. I apologize for the short delay. However, we will start shortly. Thank you for your time.
Miss Deborah.
Yes.
This is Ruth at the Delivery Office. We're connected.
Oh, you are. Thank you. Wonderful.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. I was told that you weren't connected.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad you're joining us. But we will resume in about.
We'll have to continue our game if you come to the breast cancer awareness program. Okay?
Thank you, Miss Victoria Childs, and thank you. Let's start with our roll call again. We will start with Carruthersville. Are you there? Good morning, Carruthersville.
Good morning.
All
This is
right.
Pat Cagle.
Thank you. Miss Pat Cagle, can you tell me how many is present?
It's 6 of us.
6 of you. All righty. Thank you. Well, let's continue up the virtual highway, stopping in Sykeston.
Good morning, this is Ken.
Good morning.
There's 3 of us present, and there's a van coming, but sounds like they're having car trouble right now.
We understand perfectly. I need to go back down 55 because Lyran called in. Lyran.
Good morning.
How are you?
There's 6 of us.
There are 6 of you
We're
there.
doing well.
All right, thank you. All right, let's continue up to, we just spoke with Sykeston. Let's continue to St. Louis. St. Louis, good morning again.
Good morning.
All righty, how many is present there?
6.
6 of you. Thank you. Well, let's see, can we connect with Kansas City? Kansas City.
Kansas City in the house.
All right, Kansas City. Thank you. Oh my, you have a full house. How many?
Kansas City, there's 28 of us.
All right, thank you, Kansas City. All righty, Jefferson City. About how many is present here? Who has that count? 19 is present here in Jefferson City. All righty. Let me just go ahead and briefly get started. I apologize again for running a little late. Sometimes things happen, and so it'll work for the better, you know, the good. At this time, in your packet, there, of course, is a handout in regards to the presentation. There is also an evaluation, and also we have a photo release form. So if you would allow us to take your beautiful pictures, please sign that form and return it back to us. You do not have to re-sign it again. It's a little short form like this. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce our presenter, Ms. Amber Phelps. She is the Health Program Specialist for the Central Missouri Regional Arthritis Center. She is also she has been a program coordinator there since 2007. Ms. Phelps coordinates evidence-based programs and leader training in a 24-county service area. Ms. Phelps is a master trainer for the Chronic Disease Self-Management Program, Arthritis Foundation Exercise Program, and the Walk with Ease Program. Please welcome Ms. Amber Phelps.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I will apologize for the technical difficulties, and I also had a wardrobe malfunction that kind of started the day, so I'm really glad to be here and appreciate everybody's patience with that. So I work for the Central Missouri Regional Arthritis Center, as Deborah mentioned, and our goal is to provide individuals with information about arthritis and to help them get connected to various programs so that they can learn how to manage the arthritis. So today we're going to talk about how we can manage arthritis so it doesn't manage you, so it doesn't take over your life. And there are a lot of different myths about arthritis. So some people say that arthritis is not a big deal. Just aches and pains. Everybody gets it. You just have to deal with it. Has anybody heard that before? Yeah. Yeah. Actually, it can be very serious, and it can also cause a lot of limitations in our daily activities. So it really is a big deal. It is important to know about arthritis and to deal with it. Another myth that I'm sure all of you have heard is people only get arthritis when they get older. It's a myth. Yeah, not true. So I see a lot of head shaking. People can get arthritis at any age. In fact, in the United States, there are about 300,000 children who have arthritis, and that's really that number isn't really a steadfast number because they can't really track that accurately. So the last myth, and this is the one I really want to focus on in the time given, is that people believe that you can't do anything about arthritis. But there are a lot of things that you can do to manage arthritis, more importantly manage your symptoms and the limitations that it might cause. And I really think it's important that people are aware of those and they understand what they can do to make a difference. So if you're looking at your handout, the third slide that you see there says arthritis in Missouri, and there are a couple of statistics that you can take a look at that show the impact of arthritis in Missouri. And so in Missouri there are 1.3 million adults who have arthritis. In the United States it's 64 million people who have arthritis. The other thing, if you look at the age, so 18 to 44-year-olds are 13%, but at 45 to 64, you see there's 42% compared to individuals who are 65 and older, it's 56%. So individuals who have arthritis don't generally just have arthritis. So over 50% of people who have arthritis also have other chronic health conditions like diabetes and heart disease. So again, you can see the impact that arthritis has on individuals and just in our community. So on the fourth slide, you'll see that there is ARTH. It says ARTH equals question mark. Who knows what ARTH stands for? If you break out arthritis to ARTH and itis, what does ARTH stand for? Anybody? Very close. It's the bone, the joint, where the bones come together. And itis, what is that? What does that refer to? Inflammation. We all know that one, don't we? Yeah. And so typically rheumatic conditions are characterized by pain and swelling and inflammation in and around the joint. And that can be one joint or it can be multiple joints. So here's the big question. How many types of arthritis are there? There's a whole bunch? Throw out a number. What do you think? Too many. That's exactly right. you can see the impact that it has on us. What are the types of arthritis that you're aware of? Shout them out. Rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, lupus, gout. You guys just named the most common types of arthritis, and that also includes fibromyalgia. So if you think of arthritis, it's an umbrella term, and it covers a lot of different forms of rheumatic conditions. They can be degenerative, where the bones, the joints kind of break down, wear away, that wear and tear. That's more common in osteoarthritis, or it can be inflammatory. So rheumatoid arthritis is more of an inflammatory, lupus is more of an inflammatory type of arthritis. So not only does it affect your joints and your bones, it can also affect your internal organs, your kidneys, it can affect your eyesight. So it isn't just aches and pains, there's a lot more to that. And I'm going to talk a little bit later about the causes and what the risk factors are. But first I just want to look at what are the warning signs of arthritis, so that if you see that slide on your handout. Some of the warning signs for arthritis is pain. If you have redness around a joint, maybe occasional swelling, or even tenderness, stiffness, wake up in the morning, takes a little bit to get out of bed, get moving, even difficulty moving the joint. Now, again, with some types of arthritis, you can also have a fever and fatigue, some mild fatigue with that. So if anybody experiences these types of symptoms for 2 weeks or more, it's time to go see your doctor. And so a lot of people say, okay, just arthritis, I don't need to do anything, but it's really important to see your doctor. They're going to take x-rays, do a history, physical examination, probably blood work, and then that's going to determine what type of arthritis you have. And that's really important to know, because a lot of people say, I have arthritis, but they don't know what type of arthritis it is. So when we know what type of arthritis we have, then we can manage it. We know what to do. We can change some behaviors and some activities that we do. A doctor should also tell you what to expect and what kind of things that you can do to manage it. We're going to look at osteoarthritis first. I'm going to focus on the two major types, osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. Yeah.
I assume that disease are more or less prevalent when we start to see regular advertisements for them on the TV. And so you see a lot for rheumatoid arthritis, you see a lot for osteoarthritis, and I've been lately seeing a lot for gout. Is that also considered an arthritis?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So anything that affects the tissue, so the question was if gout is also a form of arthritis. And it is because it is affecting the tissue around the joint. And when the tissue around the joint starts to get affected, then it's going to start affecting the joint. So when you think about arthritis, and osteoarthritis in particular, you've got two bones coming together with the joint. And what happens, you have cartilage that is lying on the ends of the bone. And that cartilage protects the bone, but it doesn't have any source of blood or food or anything to keep it healthy and nutritious, but there's a synovial fluid that wraps around it. So when you move, the bones push that synovial fluid into the cartilage, and that's how it stays healthy. So a long time ago, the idea was if you have arthritis, you need to rest. That's the worst thing that we can do. We got to keep moving, exercise. We're going to talk about that later, so good transition. So osteoarthritis is characterized as a degenerative, where the bones, the cartilage break down. That cartilage can break down and break pieces of bone in between the joints, so now you're either bone on bone or you have it. Yeah, it kind of makes the hair on my neck stand up a little bit when I think about it. It can be caused by wear and tear, so this can be age-related, but not necessarily, because it can also be caused by injury. So if somebody has an injury or they get an infection. So another type of arthritis that you might not think about is Lyme disease. So Lyme disease affects the immune system. It starts affecting the joints. And so that can also be an issue. So let's go ahead and look at rheumatoid arthritis real quick. As I mentioned before, rheumatoid arthritis is a little different in the fact that it is more of an inflammatory disease. So if you look at your picture, your graphic there on rheumatoid arthritis, you can see that with rheumatoid arthritis, that synovial fluid, it starts getting warm, your skin gets warm, gets inflamed, and that synovial fluid starts wearing on the bone and the cartilage. So then rheumatoid arthritis can also cause osteoarthritis, especially if it's not treated well. With rheumatoid arthritis, you typically get it on both sides. So osteoarthritis, I might have in my thumb on my right hand. But with rheumatoid arthritis, I might get it in my wrist on both hands. So you see it on both sides. This has a lot of fatigue, pain associated with it. It generally involves some of the same joints. So osteoarthritis affects the elbows, I'm sorry, not the elbows, the wrist, the hips, the spine, the knees. Those are the most common places, although it can happen at any joint. And rheumatoid also affects those particular joints, but it also can affect the shoulders and the elbows. So it has more impact on you overall. And generally, with people who have osteoarthritis, they wake up in the morning, as I said, they're a little stiff, they start moving around, and after about an hour or two, they start to feel better. Rheumatoid arthritis is a little different because they wake up, they feel okay, and as they go on through the day, they start to get tired, fatigued, achy, and stiff. And so knowing that can help you manage your activities. If I'm feeling better in the morning, that would be a good time to get some things done, like the physical activity or grocery shopping. But if my better time is in the afternoon, that's the best time to actually do your activities that you need to do. The other thing with rheumatoid arthritis, it can cause deformities. It can cause destruction in the joint. So there's a picture of it actually coming up here. I don't have the same handout as you. It would be go down 2 slides. So you'll see the OA versus RA, and then you'll see the osteoarthritis pictures and the rheumatoid arthritis pictures. So with osteoarthritis, you get the nodules and the fingers, and it can kind of cause a little bit of damage there, but with rheumatoid arthritis, it really damages the joint to where it can cause the joints to move be out of place and make it difficult to hold something, or difficult to walk, difficult to turn your head. So if I'm driving and I've got arthritis, it's going to be a little harder for me to look over my shoulder. With osteoarthritis, it usually begins after age 45, where rheumatoid arthritis, you see it between 25 and 50 years of age. So a little bit different. Okay, we'll move on. Let's talk about the risk. There are different types of risk for arthritis, and you'll see the sign that says risk ahead on your handout. There is non-modifiable risk factors. So these are things we really don't have control over. We can't necessarily change our age, although sometimes I would like to do that. The risk of developing arthritis does increase with age. Gender is another risk factor that we can't necessarily change. Most types of arthritis are more common in women, like fibromyalgia and lupus, and rheumatoid arthritis are more common in women. With men, you'll see more common osteoarthritis as well as gout. The other non-modifiable risk factor that you have is your genetics. So some types of arthritis may be carried down through our genes. Some people can have the genetics that are associated with, like rheumatoid arthritis, but they may never develop it. So it's not 100% that if you have it in your system that your genetics and your genes, that you'll actually get it. Okay, more importantly, let's look at the modifiable risk. So overweight and obesity is one of the major impacts, a major risk factor for developing arthritis, particularly in the knees and in the hips. So one of the things that I think is very important is when we go to the doctor, they say, you need to lose weight. Okay, what does that mean? With arthritis, 1 pound of fat is equal to 4 pounds of pressure on your joints. So if you think about it, if you lose 11 pounds, that's equal to 50 pounds of pressure off of your knees and your hips. So 11 pounds is a little bit more doable and a little bit easier than saying you need to lose weight, because that's kind of vague. It doesn't help us very much. The other risk factor is joint injuries. So individuals who play sports, if you have any broken bones, broken joints, that can cause more of a risk for arthritis, particularly osteoarthritis. Infection, I already mentioned that with Lyme disease is another risk factor. So you can protect yourself with following the doctor's orders, making sure that you're finding out if you do have an illness. There are other illnesses that can give you an infection that cause arthritis. So making sure that you're talking with your doctor about that. And also certain occupations, if you do something over and over and over, carpal tunnel falls under that umbrella of arthritis. So if you can use ergonomical devices, things that will help protect your joints. And so we've got all this information. We know what our risk factors are. The modifiable risk factors are the ones we're going to focus on, but what do we do with that? So there are several different things. If you look at the next slide, there are the treatments that are involved with arthritis. You can take medications. Some medications they differ based on the type of arthritis. Physical therapy and occupational therapy, splinting or bracing, surgery for some with rheumatoid or osteoarthritis. You're more likely to be able to do surgery, like a knee replacement or hip replacement. That's less likely to happen for people who have rheumatoid arthritis. Weight loss, as we just mentioned. But what our programs do is we focus on physical activity and self-management. And so let's look at, you can combine all of these. So there's not just one thing. We want to try different modalities in order to manage arthritis.
Why is it less likely that people get surgery for rheumatoid than osteo, especially since rheumatoid causes deformity?
That's exactly right. Rheumatoid arthritis, because of the destruction to the joint, the destruction to the joint is so much that they can't necessarily replace that joint. So thinking about the fingers, if you look at that picture, they can't replace the joint due to the destruction that's already been done. Does that answer your question? Maybe? Okay. So with self-management, what that means, you want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. So that means exercising, going to the doctor, following up with the doctor, asking questions, eating healthy. So in our programs, the D word is a bad word. Who knows what the D word is? Diet. I heard somebody say diet. Diet's a bad word. We don't want to talk about that in our program. We just want to learn what are healthy habits, what are healthy things that we can eat. Also taking your medicine, that's important to do. Sometimes it's easy to forget, not want to take it, or maybe it's expensive. And so instead of taking the whole pill, you cut it in half. You want to make sure you're taking it as prescribed. Also, you want to make sure that you're taking care of your other responsibilities. So your job, at home, with your family, maybe you do some volunteer work. And then lastly, self-management means that you need to pay attention and manage your emotional changes. So another impact that arthritis has on our body, on us, on our life, is it affects our relationships with our family, communication, the ability to do, maybe one of the things that you like to do is to go play cards, but because holding the cards is painful for your hands, you cut back and you don't do it. Then there's a little social isolation that takes place. Then there can be some stress and anxiety leading to difficult emotions. If I can't do what I want to do and need to do, that's going to cause some of those difficult emotions. I wanted to go back to healthy eating. There is one thing, a tip that we use in our self-management class is losing weight the 200 calorie a day way. Now that does not mean you only eat 200 calories. We can't do that. We wouldn't survive on that. But what that means is I'm going to exercise, maybe go for a walk for about 30 minutes, and then that'll burn 100 calories, and then I'll cut out 100 calories from my food. Maybe a cookie, that extra cookie, or brownie, or maybe a pan of brownies. Physical activity is very important. So what's recommended is that you do 150 minutes a week. That breaks down to about 30 minutes a day for 5 days. So when I hear that, I think, oh, I don't have time for that. Or I get too tired when I do it 30 minutes. My mother has a really difficult time with her breathing because of some of her conditions, and it's hard for her to exercise. So what you can do is break it down into smaller chunks. I can exercise for 10 minutes 3 times throughout the day, so in the morning, afternoon, and night. I can even break it down to 5 minutes 6 times a day. So it doesn't matter how you get it as long as you're getting 30 minutes. And when we talk about exercise, again, it also puts some negative imagery in my head, you know, going to the gym in the leotard and dancing. It's like, no, I'm not going to do that. But any physical activity, you're moving, you get your heart rate up a little bit, maybe you get a little perspiration, and maybe even just have a little bit harder time breathing. And so those are, you want to keep that in mind, that it doesn't have to be at an intense level. It can be a moderate level and should be to protect your joints. Okay, so whether you choose to do something or you choose to do nothing, you still are making a choice. So self-management means I'm either going to choose, to do something and gain a little bit more control over my life, or I'll choose to do nothing and possibly get worse and have more issues with that. So the key to learning good self-management skills is practice, practice, practice. You can't learn it in one time, so we say give any new any new activity a 2-week trial. How do you know that you really like it, or if it works if you haven't done it for a long period of time? So we would encourage you to be an active self-manager, not a passive one. And if you turn to, or look at the next slide, you can see that we talk about arthritis, and the pain that it causes is a vicious cycle. And so the disease can cause those tense muscles. If I'm cleaning my house and I go too much, my muscles are going to get tense. And what does that lead to? Pain. We get pain. So then that can cause that stress and anxiety that I mentioned, and difficult emotions, depression, fatigue, and it makes the disease worse, which causes more tense muscles, which causes more pain. So you get that vicious cycle, and we want to break that cycle with self-management. And so let's look a little bit more at exercise in more detail or more depth. So a common myth is that exercise will make my fibromyalgia or my arthritis worse. So we already talked about that. We've got to move. We got to keep our joints healthy. We got to give them some nutrition. It actually will improve your condition. Another myth is if it hurts when I exercise, it's unsafe. We can't expect to exercise without pain. If we have arthritis, we might hurt. But to make sure you're not overdoing it, we want to follow the 2-hour pain rule. If I'm experiencing pain or stiffness for 2 hours or more after I've done physical activity, I've done too much. So I need to cut back, do a little bit less. So that's a good way to help you monitor your exercise. All right, I want to ask you guys a question. What are the benefits of exercise? Why do we do it? What does it do for us?
Blood pressure will go down.
Blood pressure?
It keeps us flexible.
Flexible, yeah. Lose weight, yeah. Or even maintain it.
Helps our energy level.
Energy.
Build muscle.
Build muscle. Oh, great.
Keep your joints from being stiff.
Yes. All right, so it can also, relieves the difficult emotions, anger, fear, depression. It improves your balance. So in individuals who have arthritis or fibromyalgia, their balance can be off if they have osteoarthritis or destruction in their joints and their ankles particularly. And it also enables you to do the things that you want to do. If you look at the next slide, where we're going to talk about physical activity, it's the arthritis pain reliever. So with exercise, it should be a complete program that includes strengthening and flexibility. So that's going to help you move the joints and keep them healthy. And you want to move those joints through the full range of motion. You also want to, when you strengthen the muscles around the joint, it makes them more stable. It helps stabilize those joints. With endurance and aerobic activity, I mentioned that 150 minutes per week, or 150 hours. I wish it were 150 minutes. So we mentioned earlier the tips. If you are going to exercise, make sure you're doing it during a time that you're feeling well. Start slow and gradually increase. So if you're not exercising at all, you don't necessarily want to go right into 30 minutes 5 days a week. Start where you're at and build up.
All we have.
Okay. How are we doing? On time. Okay. All right, so let's look at some examples of physical activity that we do for the joints. So is everybody ready to move? Just a little bit? Kind of wake up? All right. Oh, I'm sorry. Is there somebody had a question? Nope. Okay. It falls under the umbrella. It's not scoliosis is not necessarily arthritis, but it falls under the umbrella because it affects the joints and the muscle and tissue around the joint. Okay, so I mentioned earlier driving. When I'm in the car and I got to make a turn, I'm going to have to turn to or look to the direction where I'm going to either go into another lane or turning. And so we're just going to practice some exercises for the neck. So what I want you to do is keep your chin level and turn your neck to the left. Start out gentle or right. We'll do both sides. It's all right. All right, turn back to the center. And now turn to the right. And if you're feeling ornery, you can stick your tongue out at your neighbor, and then what do you know? All right, look back to the center. And so those are great exercises for the neck. I want you to cross your arms in a genie style. Sitting up tall, right? You've got a straight spine, abs are pulled in tight. We're going to do the same thing. Keep your hips forward, we're going to turn to the right. That one feels really good, right? So we're stretching through the side and working the muscles in our spine, the joints in our spine. Come back to the center. We've got to do the other side because we don't want to be lopsided, do we? And so those are important kind of exercises that we don't think of. You want to make sure you're moving your joints. Hands up. And you're going to go ahead and curl the hands in. Thumb on the outside. Don't squeeze. Just a light curl. Open. Close. Okay, so we don't think about this. When we think about exercise, we think about the large muscles and our legs and our arms. Oh, wow. But we want to exercise every joint, every muscle. So in the next slide, there is a title of physical activity programs. And so for individuals who are looking to do some physical activity and would like some help, would like some direction, they would like that more information on how to do it if you have arthritis. Also, if you have heart disease, diabetes, these types of programs are really helpful because no matter what type of chronic condition we have, we've got to keep moving. And so we have an Arthritis Foundation exercise program that is either seated or standing. There are several that are going on here in Jeff City. I know there are several in St. Louis and Kansas City. Do we have St. Louis on? Yes. Line? Okay, yeah. Sykeston I'm not so sure about, but there are lots of exercise programs. There's also a Walk with Ease. Walking is great for arthritis, but it's also great for osteoporosis. So osteoporosis falls under that umbrella, and when we're walking, we're building the bone density. We offer that in a group and an individual program. So if that's something somebody's wanting to start, it helps them develop a walking plan and then helps them maintain that walking plan. Okay, enough about physical activity. let's talk about how to protect your body. So when you have arthritis, or even if you don't have arthritis, these are good tips for us to follow. So when you're, you want to make sure you're using the proper methods. So when you're bending, you're lifting, reaching, sitting, standing. If I sit down over here, I'm not going to be able to see it. So when you're tying your shoes, most people, when they're seated, bend over and tie the shoes. That's maybe a little bit more difficult. I see somebody shaking their head. But an alternative that you can do is rest your foot up on a table, a chair, or something so you're not bending as far. Bring that foot a little closer to you. Avoid activities that hurt your joints. So you can use assistive devices. You can use a jar opener. We're all familiar with that. There are a lot of different things that can help protect the joint. Use both, avoid staying in one position. Use your largest and strongest joints and muscles. Okay, check out the ladies in this. One lady has the purse around her shoulder and her neck. One of them has a clutch. Can't really tell that on this handout. And the other one is carrying a short strap. So for the ladies, if you're carrying a purse, is it better to carry it on the shoulder, the elbow, or in your hands? Shoulder, strongest, larger joint first. You want to balance activity with rest. Sometimes we're tempted to go, get it all done. But if you do a little bit now, and then you take some rest, and then do a little bit later on, you're more likely to accomplish what you're wanting to do, instead of getting tired and then not finishing. So also respect pain. You want to, I'm skipping all over these, so let's start with respect pain. Again, follow the 2-hour rule. If your body is hurting, that's a sign. Hurting more than normal, I'll put it that way. So if your body is hurting more than normal for 2 hours or more, you've done too much. Simplify your work. Also ask for help when you need it. That's a hard thing to do. Asking for help is one of the hardest things. So look at your next slide on here. We're going to meet Harold and Alice. Okay, so what is Harold doing wrong? Yeah, he's bending forward. And somebody said carrying your bag. What was that? Carrying it wrong? Yeah, so he's using his hands. Compared to Alice, who's pulling her groceries and her books closer to her. So those are ways to conserve energy and protect your joints. Okay, so we're going to talk about another technique that you can use in self-management. And we all know that our mind can be a very powerful thing. So we're going to do a little exercise. I want everybody to close their eyes. And I want you to imagine you're holding a big, bright, yellow lemon. You can smell its citrus aroma. You can feel the rind in your hands. Now I want you to take that lemon and bring it to your mouth and take a big bite. You can feel the juice running down your mouth. Suck the juice from the lemon. Okay, go ahead and open your eyes. So what happened? Nothing. Nothing? Anybody feel any physical changes? And everybody kind of puckered. I love lemon, so it was good for me. Yeah. What about your mouth? Did anybody notice a little salivation when you took that bite? Okay. So you didn't have that lemon in your hand, but your body responded, your mind responded to just that thought. So your mind is really a powerful thing. And the scientific evidence shows that there's a strong link between our thoughts, attitudes, and emotions, and our physical and mental health. So if we can learn some techniques to use our mind, we can also manage some of those symptoms. So you can see I've listed a couple of them. Relaxation, distraction. I like to use distraction when I'm going to sleep at night, especially when I can't sleep or if I wake up in the middle of the night. One tool that I use is I count backwards from 100 by threes. Now math is not my strong point. So I'm laying in bed and counting 100, 97, 94. And I'm usually asleep before I get to the end. There's also guided imagery. This is kind of like a guided daydream. You kind of imagine yourself somewhere else in a different place that gives you calm and peace feeling. Not something that you're in a place that's not calm and quieting. Visualization, prayer, or meditation, those are all great techniques that individuals use to help manage their symptoms. Belly breathing, let's practice some belly breathing. So with belly breathing, I want you to place one hand on your chest, one hand on your abdomen. Okay. So typically, when we breathe, we don't use the full capacity of our lungs. So I want you to take a deep breath in through your nose and push it all the way down into your abdomen. And then I want you to let it out slowly through pursed lips, like you're trying to whistle. And the exhale should last twice as long as the inhale. So go ahead and look at your hands. And when you push that air down into your belly, you should see your belly extend and your chest stay fairly still, and then release. That's a great way to relax your mind, to relax your body, help with pain, difficult emotions. Positive thinking is another option that you can use. Okay. How we doing? Keep going? All right.
Did you say distraction was?
Distraction is when you use, you think of something that you are trying to, like say you have some pain, or maybe you're walking up the stairs and you have some arthritis in your knees. And so one way that you can use distraction is to think of something else, like counting backwards by threes. You can also, sometimes you can try to picture a blank sheet of paper, like try to picture that in front of you. You can also play a baseball or football game in your mind if you like sports. Think of an old song, try to remember the words to a song. You can think of a name for the alphabet. So those are ways to get your mind off of what you're doing. And that's great for short-term distraction. We don't want to use it for a long-term distraction because then we can distract so much that we're not moving and cause more stiffness. Did you have a question?
Learning another language is an excellent way to...
Yeah, definitely. It makes you think a little bit harder. I'm going to have to put that example in my slide the next time.
And they say that learning another language will help you to stave off, Alzheimer's and that kind of thing. So I'm really having a lot of fun. And,
yeah.
Hopefully helping my condition.
Yeah. That's a great example because as we are learning new things, we are building new skills, doing some distraction work, and it's going to help us keep our brain active. Yeah. So I have a couple of helpful tips, and then we'll wrap up in a little bit. So I've given you just a few ideas. There are so many things that you can do for self-management to help manage your condition. And so first thing, choose a technique and try it first. Remember, we want to try something for about 2 weeks before we say, I don't like that. So keep trying it for a little bit. If it doesn't work, you have another technique you can refer to. So if distraction doesn't work, let's try visualization. I also want you to think about how and when you'll use the technique. So when are the times that you're having obstacles, difficulties, barriers? Think about that and choose when it might be a good time to use it. It also requires substantial life change when you're doing these self-management tips. So think about them in advance. And also, we don't want to pick one, we want to try many. So an effective self-manager practices many and starts to get efficient at many different things so that no matter what they're doing or experiencing, they can pick something from their toolbox. Place some cues in your environment to remind you. Refrigerator, if you're doing healthy eating as a technique to manage, refrigerator is a good place to put some of the information that you're going to work on. bathroom mirror next to your medications. So find a place that you'll look at, you'll see every day. And linking it with another activity or behavior, like you can, if you're brushing your teeth, that can be a reminder of, oh, I've got to take my medication, or I've got to do another activity during the day. And reward yourself. You know, this is really, managing our condition takes a lot of work. In a sense, it takes work. We can't just sit back and expect it to get better. So when you are doing these things like learning a new language, reward yourself for the actions that you've taken, the behaviors. So if they don't work, if the techniques don't work, don't be discouraged. Just try something else. Not all techniques work for everyone. So somebody might not feel comfortable doing guided imagery. We did this in a class where we're taking a walk through a field with wildflowers and trees, and when we got done, the one girl was so distraught because she has allergies and she's afraid of snakes and bears, and that's all she can think about. So that one did not work for her. So if you'll turn to your next slide, it says self-management programs. There are a couple of self-management programs that are available throughout the state, not just here in Jefferson City or Central Missouri. There is a chronic disease self-management program. The Tomando Control de su Salud, that is a version of chronic disease self-management, but it's been, thank you, translated for and adjusted for Spanish-speaking community. So that's a great, we don't have as many of those, but there's also the Arthritis Toolkit. So for somebody who isn't able to participate in a community class, the Arthritis Toolkit gives you a little box full of these great tools, and it walks you through some information on how to implement them and do them successfully. So the next slide, again, with the regional arthritis centers, there are 7 different centers throughout the state. You can go to our website to find classes or get information that is relevant to arthritis or chronic diseases and self-management. So you can see the locations of where those are. You also received a handout, I believe, that has a flyer with the contact names for every single regional arthritis center in the state. So if you're looking for more information, you can contact them directly. And then, I also put it on the last slide. I put the 7 different regional arthritis centers, their names and their contact numbers. So you have that there as well. And then at the last slide, I've provided some additional resources. So there are a lot of resources out there for managing arthritis and all of those types that fall under the umbrella, as well as other chronic diseases, because remember, as I mentioned earlier, most people who have a chronic disease don't just have one. A lot of times they have multiple chronic diseases. And so while we're the Regional Arthritis Center, we want to address any chronic health condition and help them with self-management and physical activity. So, does anybody have any questions?
So when they have multiple chronic diseases, is that because they have the one and it was an offset for all the rest?
Well, that's a great question. So the question is, if you have multiple chronic diseases, do you develop one that causes the other? Is that correct? Yes and no. So there are, again, those modifiable and non-modifiable risk factors for any chronic health condition. And so if you think about somebody who has arthritis in their knees and their hips, they may not be able to exercise. They may choose not to exercise because of the pain, or may be difficult for them. So if they're not exercising, they may gain more weight, and that can lead to heart disease and diabetes. So that's not the case in every situation, and there's really no way to determine that that's true. It's believed to be the case because there are so many people with arthritis and heart disease and diabetes. Yeah. With lupus, there are a lot of various types of chronic health conditions, especially when it affects the kidneys, that can develop as part of lupus. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You mentioned, and I've seen it in the local news, newspaper, there's several programs that are going on with reference to, exercise programs for those with arthritis. First question is, does one have to belong to one of the gyms and have membership in them? Not, how much are they?
It depends. There are the Y here in Jefferson City. They do offer classes, but you do have to have a membership for some of their classes. They have an Arthritis Foundation exercise program at the Community Christian Church. Yes, and that is a small fee. I want to say it's like $10 for the session, so it's not that expensive. A lot of our programs are offered at no cost. Our exercise programs, if they are held in a facility, they will charge their typical membership fee. But like our chronic disease self-management, we do not charge a fee for that at this time. So it's a great resource that we want people to take advantage of. Our goal is to help individuals to manage their condition and get well.
How do you get the arthritis toolkit?
Contact the Regional Arthritis Center, which if you're in Central Missouri, that'd be, yeah. What we do with the arthritis toolkit is we loan those out for 6 weeks. And at the end of the 6 weeks, you have the option to purchase it. We also have scholarships for some of those programs. We know we have scholarships through the end of June, and hopefully we'll have scholarships after that as well. So if there's a program that, like the toolkit, that you want to participate in, you can ask your coordinator at the Regional Arthritis Center. The Walk with Ease book, if you want to do that on an individual basis, that's one that we give you, and hopefully you get started on a walking program or improve the walking program that you're already doing.
Are there any more questions from Jefferson City? Right ahead, right ahead.
It took 2 weeks for them the doctors to discover I had gout, and I had inflammation and swelling and all that. But just in passing, I heard the word rheumatoid arthritis, and I was shocked. So I did discover that I do have arthritis. I thought it was on medication, but I was having pain from arthritis.
Okay, yeah. And I would certainly make sure that you ask the physician specifically. Sometimes they don't give that information out.
No.
Yeah. And the best, what we encourage people in order to manage your arthritis, the best thing is early detection. So the sooner you know, the better you can treat. Like with rheumatoid arthritis, I talked about the destruction in the hands. Some of those medications can slow that down or keep it from happening altogether with the new medications that we have. So early detection, following the doctor's orders, physical activity, and self-management.
Any more questions from Jefferson City before we move to the sites?
Is there any information I can get from your office concerning gout? Okay.
So I brought some brochures and set them out here. So when we're done, you're welcome to go and grab them. We also, for those at the sites, you can contact your Regional Arthritis Center if you want information about rheumatoid arthritis or any of those conditions or really anything I talked about today. And again, the information is free, so you can pick it up and get the information that you need. I brought a signed information sheet, so if you're looking for something that you want specifically and I didn't bring or you don't have at the site, you can send that information to me or to your Regional Arthritis Center, and we'll make sure you get that information.
Kansas City, do you have any questions? Kansas City? Well, let's move to St. Louis. St. Louis.
Yes, St. Louis have questions.
I'm Sally with an IE Simmons. I'm a 1948 graduate of Liberty University. And I'm sitting here wondering why WUS does not have handout that you use in your address. What's the title of it?
I'm sorry, what was your question again?
What is the title of the handout that Jefferson City's looking at? And everything.
Oh, there's, There's a PowerPoint. Did you receive the PowerPoint? And there's also a hand. Okay.
No.
Okay.
All of that information was forwarded last week. However, Miss Sally, I'm glad to see you there. We will forward that information again to you after we break for lunch.
We only got 5 sheets and has no pictures and anything else that you all use.
Oh my.
Oh my.
That
Well, I hope that the information I gave was helpful, even if you didn't have the
It
picture.
was, but
Okay.
it'll be more helpful when we get the same thing that they have.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll make sure you get that.
Absolutely. Really, Miss Sally, we will resend that.
We need at least 12 copies.
Thank you. Any more questions, St. Louis? Let's move down to Sykeston. Sykeston.
Yes, no questions, but everyone says a great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Learburn, are there any questions?
Never, no questions. They say it was a very informative session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carruthersville.
Yes, we have a question. We have a individual that is attending and wanted to find out what is the connection with carpal tunnel and arthritis?
Yeah,
And
that's,
how they can connect.
that's a great question, and it falls. The way we address it is it falls under the umbrella of arthritis because it affects the ligaments and the tendons that are connecting to the joints. But carpal tunnel in and of itself does not affect the joint. It's the tendons and the ligaments. So when we think about arthritis, it's anything that's affecting the tissues, the ligaments, the tendons, and the muscle, the joint around that specific joint. Does that answer your question? Is that helpful?
Yes, and one other question, what website would you recommend? You had mentioned that several diseases may correlate with arthritis. Is there a website that you could recommend for individuals who may be dealing with various types of diseases that they could go and visit just to do some hands-on research?
Yeah, the Centers for Disease Control, they have, it's a www.cdc.gov, and that's on the PowerPoint on that last sheet if you got it. I would also suggest that the National Institute of Health, I believe, is www.nlh.gov or nih.gov. And so they really address the various diseases as well. So it's not just an arthritis specific program.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, this is Mr. Paul from Kansas City.
All right, Kansas City.
Can you guys hear us? Okay, I apologize for being late, but we don't have any questions at this moment right now.
Well, thank you.
Well.
Miss Amber, before we dismiss temporarily for lunch, there is a form that you had in here, a handout on assessing your joint health.
Yes, I'm so glad you mentioned that. So in your handouts, there is a assessment, a joint assessment. So you can look through that handout and answer the questions, and it will assess your risk for arthritis. And so I would encourage you to fill that out, and if you find when you fill out the form that you have a high risk for arthritis, take that form to your physician and have that conversation with them. Yeah, thank you for reminding me of that. I do want to say, again, I so apologize for the late start, and I appreciate your patience. So thank you very much for letting me come here today and provide this presentation.
Please join me in a round of applause.
I have to be funny. When
about 12:15, and we will announce the door prize winners for each area. So at this time, by Kansas City, we will reconvene at 12:15. How about that? Kansas City?
Kansas City, we heard you. Thank
you. All right, St. Louis. All right, thank you. Sykeston. We'll reconvene at 12:15. Lyra, I want to make sure we're disconnecting and we will reconvene at 12:15. Did you get that notice? Please say yes.
Say Lyra.
Lyra.
Yes. This is Lyra.
Okay, great, you're there. All right, good. We're going to dismiss just for lunch, and we'll reconvene at 12:15 and announce the door prize winners. Carruthersville, are you there?
Yes.
Did you get that notice that we will reconvene at 12:15?
Yes.
All righty, we will see you all once again, all together again back at 12:15. Thank you. Carruthersville? Carruthersville? Are you there?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, Lilburn, are you there?
Yes, we're here.
Thank you. St. Louis?
We're here.
Great. Okay. Kansas City. Are you there? Are you ready? Kansas City? Kansas City?
Okay, she's back on.
Oh, Kansas City, I hear you. I hear Mr. Paul. All right, Kansas City. Seems like we're having some technical difficulties.
Kansas City's here.
Thank you. All right. Great. All right, we're going to start. Since we are with you, Kansas City, you're with us. Can you tell us who the door prize? First, let's let Miss Amber tell you what the door prizes are going to be. She brought some goodies.
Okay. You want to know who our winner is, or you want me to wait?
Wait 1 second. Let her go through all the goodies that she has in that blue bag.
Okay.
All right, so everything that is in here is going to help an individual who, well, it helps anybody, but it's really helpful also for individuals who have arthritis. So first of all, the bag. So when you go to the grocery store, instead of carrying those heavy bags in your fingers, you're going to use the strongest, largest muscles, so the hands. So there is a lot of information that I put in here, especially information that I did not cover in the presentation. And so there's just basic information on arthritis, managing pain, sodium. There's some checklist for health screenings, a walking guide, and a toolkit for fibromyalgia. So if you get these and you don't necessarily have this information, please pass it on to somebody who could use it. There is also a Toward Healthy Living. This is a symptom journal, so you keep track of the symptoms that you're experiencing, and then it gives you an idea of what is causing you pain and fatigue. And so one of the things we talk about in self-management is communicating, writing, just tracking what's going on. All right, everybody knows about this, right? What is it? Jar opener. You can use it for more than a jar opener. You can open your nail polish. You can change a light bulb. One side you can use for lint. Carry it in your car and open the gas cap. Just a notepad that you could put on your refrigerator for reminders. It's a Live Like Your Life Depends on It campaign. So we would certainly encourage that. Also have a magnetic set, and it has the Live Like Your Life Depends on It, but it has the little magnets that you can take off and indicate today what you're going to be doing. I'll eat healthy, I'll exercise, also a good reminder. This is a bottle opener, and a can opener, and a tab opener. So for water bottles use the small joints in your fingers. Instead, you can use the large joints in your hands. There is a letter opener and a staple puller. Again, just so you're not using your fingers to open your mail. And lastly, there's a zipper pull. So when you have a zipper, using the small joints and muscles, this is a little easier. So, help you to live a healthy life.
All right, let's start with Kansas City. Who is the lucky winner from your area?
In Kansas City, our winner was Miss Geraldine Jones.
St. Louis. Who's the lucky winner from your area?
We, Miss Deborah Williams.
Deborah Williams? All right. Thank you, St. Louis. Sykeston.
Miss Lavinia Ferris.
All right, thank you. Learburn.
Hi, Deborah.
Hi.
Did you say Leah?
Yes, ma'am, I
Did
did.
you say Leah?
Yes, I did.
Miss Margaret Whitfield won again.
Oh! Okay. All right, let's move on down to Carruthersville.
Yes, could you please revisit how the determination of the winner was done?
Well, basically, you were going to select whoever attended this event today, and you can select someone from your group there as we speak. So do you want us to give you? Do you want us to?
Let us get back with you before it's over. Will that be fine?
Yes, ma'am. It's fine because Mid-Missouri needs to select the winner too.
Alrighty then. We'll do that before we dismiss.
Alrighty, not a problem.
All right.
I need the bag for me. The other bag, so I can go. It's the
Hey, Deborah.
Yes, ma'am.
This is Ruth at the Lebanon office. We passed out tickets up on their arrival. Is that okay?
That's quite all right. However you want to use, whatever method works best for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. The honor.
Who wants it? Carol. What's that? Carson?
Excuse me, Crothersville has someone.
All right.
Whenever you're ready for us.
We are ready, Carruthersville.
Okay, Miss Gloria Amatine. It's Gloria Amatine.
Thank you, Carruthersville. This comes to the end of our Lunch and Learn. Before we dismiss, in about 5 minutes or less, I would like to say thank you again for attending. Thanks to Miss Amber for being here too as well. And I hope that you have completed the evaluation forms in there for us, because we really need that information, especially because it has to be submitted to our grantors. At this time, I have one final announcement in regards to our next Lunch and Learn. Will be May the 30th. It will be on, the theme for Older Americans Month, which is in May, is You're Never Too Old to Play. Oh, so I feel that's going to be an exciting one as well. So I hope that you all in attendance will be able to come again to attend that one. Thank you, and this concludes our Lunch and Learn for today. Yes,
hello, this is Caruthersville.
Yes.
Could you repeat the title for May again, please?
Never Too Old to Play.
Play. All right, thank you.
All